The Battle of the Crater, July 30th, 1864. This is part 2, the first part I put out last week sometime. On this one here, I just go through the building of the tunnel, take you down to the tunnel entrance, and discuss how all that went on. Then I go over to Fort Stedman, which was considered Lee's last major offensive of the war. It didn't happen until like March in 1865, I think it was. And it ended up being a total failure. It was probably a bigger failure there for the Confederates than the crater was for the Union forces, to be honest with you. They captured the day that morning, but by the afternoon the Union had overrun them, and very few Confederates ever made it out alive. So, and then at the tail end, I got a handful of pictures of monuments and memorials and stuff of throughout the park there. And, so, I mean, 1864 was a bloody year in the Civil War, and there was a lot of stuff that led up to the Battle of the Crater to get to that point. So, it's you know, it might be a good idea to learn the history of it leading up. It's, a lot of stuff went on to get to that point. And it was a great idea by Grant and what he did. I think it's called the Overland Campaign. So, you know, I know a little bit about it, not much, but a little bit. So it was enough to know that 64 was a bloody year back in the 1800s, I ain't gonna lie to you. Cost a lot of lives. But anyways, man, I hope you enjoy it, and maybe you get intrigued to seek something out in your area similar that you can explore and learn about. I hope you enjoy it.
The rebels are coming. The rebels are coming. A frightened Union picket brought the first warning of the onslaught on Fort Stedman. Drowsy Union cannoneers and infantrymen had barely reached their post before the Confederate storming parties swarmed into Battery 10, then the fort itself. Thousands of Confederates plunged into the shattered Union line. They pushed south, to your left, toward Fort Haskell, north toward Battery 9, and east toward the Union rear, behind you. But Union artillery from nearby batteries wrapped the Confederates in a deadly fire. Fresh Union infantry soon arrived.
About 8 o'clock, I saw the Federals coming. The whole field was blue with them. I think the columns must have been 20 deep. With our Whitworth guns, we began to pick off a few prominent individuals, but we could not kill the whole army. And presently we had to retreat to the captured works, which we did, contesting every foot of ground.
The blue columns followed. Then, with hundreds of Confederates packed in and around Fort Stedman, the Federals attacked. This painting shows the scene around Fort Stedman at the moment of the Union counterattack. The Confederates huddled in the fort, waiting for the worst. Few of the Confederates would escape.
That's the killing fields there of the 1st Maine Infantry. They had 900 men. They lost, 115 men killed in 10 minutes. They had 400 and some wounded, and 23 were missing, or 28. Hard to believe all that took on right here. This peaceful field right now. This is what the 1st Maine was trying to do. Climb this hill here with all these cannons lined up and men gathered against them. I don't know how well you can see where that field is at. Way up yonder on the hill, there's a marker from where they took off from. I'm standing right here at the beginning of the crater, right up there where them signs and markers are, that fence. That little stretch of grass right down in there, you can see just across that field. That's where the Union soldiers were at. They had to climb up, they had to run all the way up this little slight incline and try to attack the line. It initially blew a daggone 500-foot break in their line, trying to break through. I'm gonna walk down here now to the tunnel entrance where they started building the tunnel at. This was the Union picket line. This is where they started at, to run up yonder. And that's the crater up yonder. This is where they started the tunnel from, right here.
Few military men believed the Pennsylvanians could do it, and certainly the military men did little to help. They sent neither tools nor timber, and delivered substandard fuses and 4,000 pounds less powder than Colonel Pleasants had requested. Still, the coal miners of the 48th Pennsylvania toiled round the clock. Using only cracker boxes, they hauled 18,000 cubic feet of dirt out of the mine and carefully spread it out of sight in the ravine behind you. After a month of dangerous, exacting work, the mine was finished. 4 tons of gunpowder were planted directly under a Confederate battery. At 3:15 on the morning of July 30th, Colonel Pleasants and 2 other men disappeared into the mine entrance to light the fuse. Moments later, they reappeared and waited for 10, 20, 30 minutes. Nothing happened. The fuse had failed. At 4:30 a.m., 2 of Pleasant's soldiers re-entered the mine. They re-spliced the fuse, lit it, and dashed out. When they emerged, they told Pleasants, "It's all right, Colonel, she's burning." Thousands waited. Then, 10 minutes later, they felt the ground shake and heard a dull roar. "There she goes!" someone yelled. The Pennsylvanians' mine worked exactly as designed. For the Federals, it would be one of the few aspects of their plan to work that day.
This is the entrance to the 500-foot tunnel they dug to go up underneath the Confederate lines. Was it 28th Pennsylvania, I believe? All of them ex-miners built this thing. They built it in a month when their own engineers said they couldn't, there's no way it could be done.